Hypersonic missiles are the most sought after weapons in present day warfare. Traveling at a speed of more than thrice the speed of sound, they are very difficult to intercept. Every country wants to have a hypersonic missile in their arsenal, but only a few countries even have the courage to claim that they have got a hypersonic missile. Russia, of course, has two operational hypersonic missiles in their arsenal. China claims to have one. US, a world leader in weapons, is surprisingly a laggard in this sphere. So, when India claimed or when India tested a hypersonic missile and that to a cruise missile the other day, it made headlines. India didn't claim to have successfully tested, but that's true. All local media and even international media have reported that. India has not denied that. What is the progress achieved by India in developing hypersonic missiles? Now, let's go deep into the whole issue. Welcome to Insights. I am Hari Kumar. Yesterday, Indian media and international media reported that a couple of days ago, India has successfully tested a hypersonic cruise missile. The range of the missile is 1500 kilometers. The missile, according to reports, achieved a speed of Mach 8, which is more than 8 times the speed of the light. That comes to around 10,000 kilometers per hour. To make it more understandable, I would say a hypersonic missile fired from somewhere in Amritsar in India will reach Pakistan's Rawalpindi or Islamabad in less than 4 minutes. You know, when somebody fires a hypersonic missile at your country, you have got very little time to react. Even when your radars detect the missile, and it's almost impossible for radars to, detect it. By the time the radar detects it, the missile would have, hit the target. So that is going to be the speed of the missile. This missile, it has got a scramjet engine, and India had successfully ground tested a scramjet engine in 2024 for around 1000 seconds. The significance of this achievement is even the US had only tested this successfully just for 200 seconds. So almost a year ago, India had successfully tested that. Last year, India had successfully tested a hypersonic glide vehicle. Now, when I say hypersonic missile, there is bound to be certain confusion because you hear about hypersonic cruise missile, then there is hypersonic glide vehicle, then there is hypersonic ballistic missile. What's the difference between these three? A hypersonic cruise missile has got a scramjet engine, and it absorbs oxygen from the atmosphere. While cruising ahead, it breathes air, it takes in air, and it gets oxygen from atmosphere. There is a huge advantage for that. Because of this, the missile need not keep oxygen. It can get oxygen from the atmosphere. That helps to decrease the weight of the missile. So it means that the warhead that it can carry is going to be heavier. This missile, the one which India tested the other day, can carry a warhead of up to 2 tons, from 1.5 to 2 tons. That's pretty heavy. It can carry both conventional warhead as well as nuclear warhead. This is a great achievement for India in that sense. India developed this missile as part of a classified project named Project Vishnu. As per the project, India is going to develop a hypersonic glide vehicle, a hypersonic missile defense, and a hypersonic cruise missile. It has already successfully tested the glide vehicle and cruise missile. And India is, planning to develop this to suit three platforms, that is land platform, air platform, as well as naval platform. And I have read reports that India is going to develop a hypersonic missile which could be launched from a submarine, and that could that could hit targets as far as 10 to 12,000 kilometers. That is going to be fitted on next generation submarine nuclear submarines which are being built by India. So it's a pretty serious issue. This has catapulted India to the category of top three or powers. Now, along with the US, Russia, and China, India is almost on a par. Not almost. India is on a par with them. India is actually ahead of the US. As I said earlier, China has also developed hypersonic missiles. But the missile DH-20, which is with China, is a glide vehicle. Now, what is the difference between a hypersonic glide vehicle and a hypersonic cruise missile? Hypersonic glide vehicles need not have a separate engine or a scramjet engine. They travel piggyback. They piggyback on this ballistic missiles or other rockets, and at a certain stage they get separated from a rocket or missile, and then they fall down. They glide down at hypersonic speeds. They are also maneuverable. So, but the hypersonic cruise missile is the real lethal weapon. It starts even starts at hypersonic speed. It is maneuverable. It can be recalled. Even if it goes if covers half the way, it could be recalled. That makes it very dangerous for the enemy. The enemy cannot do anything once a hypersonic missile horns in on a particular target. The enemy the enemy doesn't even have the time to escape. So this is a sure shot, no doubt about that. Now India is developing a hypersonic missile defense also. So in the coming years, it is sure that other countries will also develop hypersonic cruise missile. But for the time India has got an advantage. You need to remember that the US is lagging behind in this technology, because perhaps the US might have been focused on air launched missiles. That could be the reason why they are lagging behind. But anyway, this is going to be a path breaking even in India's defense sector, and definitely India will be going to have some kind of upper hand in the missile development for many years ahead. Earlier, India used to be always 10 to 15 years behind. India used to develop missiles only after other countries developed missiles. But now with the successful development of hypersonic technology, it has changed. I would like to conclude by mentioning what is a hypersonic, ballistic missile. Many people believe that Iran has got hypersonic ballistic missile, but hypersonic ballistic missile is not a big thing. All ballistic missiles are hypersonic during their, when they come down. They reach the target at hypersonic speed, but they don't start at hypersonic speed. As I said earlier, they move in a trajectory, and when they reach the top of apex of the trajectory, and when they fall down to the target, they achieve just before they hit the target, they achieve hypersonic speeds. The only thing which is different from traditional ballistic missiles is that these hypersonic ballistic missiles, they are maneuverable. So that's the only difference. But since they follow almost a predictable trajectory. They can be intercepted by current missile defense systems. They are a bit better than the traditional or previous ballistic missiles. That's the only difference. Of course, Iran has got such missiles, but they have not developed a scramjet engine, and it is very difficult. Again, there is a it's a huge achievement for India to develop, you know, metals or substances that can withstand heat of over 2000 degrees Celsius, which will be generated when a missile moves at hypersonic speeds. Moreover, this missile has creates an ion, it ionizes the air surrounding the missile, and so it becomes very difficult for radar waves to hit the missile and come back. Radar waves are absorbed by this ion charged, atmosphere air, and it has got stealth qualities. It almost hugs the terrain. It moves at hypersonic speeds. So this is a game changer, definitely. Well, I will be back with updates on India's hypersonic program. Till then, goodbye.